everyone, welcome to the Honeybee Nuts podcast channel. My name is Melissa and I am coming to you from Springboro, Ohio, where I live with my husband, our dog, and our two cats. This is Prince. He's coming to say hi today. Today is Saturday, May 21st, I believe. I've been getting the dates wrong constantly lately, but you know, whatever, it happens. I am coming to you I already talked about Springboro, Ohio, where I live. It's a really pretty day outside. It's very, very humid, and in the 80s, so it's very warm outside, but it's sunshiny and beautiful, and I'm so glad, because we have had so much rain this year, and it's nice to get a little bit of a break from the rain. However, I believe the rain's supposed to roll back in tomorrow, so not much of a break, but a little break. I have a little bit to talk about today, not too much compared to my previous podcasts. I have a few gifts, but no acquisitions. I have 2 finished objects. I have quite a few whips as always, and a little bit of chatter. So I'm gonna jump right in with my whips. And actually I'm gonna do an acquisition real quick because I am drinking my coffee today in my mug that my friend Laura from Crocheting Hoovian sent me. And this is actually one of my favorite mugs now. And I know I say that a lot, but I really like this. It has a lid, so it's nice and tall, so I can put my coffee in here, and I like a lot of creamer. So I can put my coffee and creamer in here. It has a lid, so I can bring it up to the loft and not worry about spilling it as I, tip it too far. Obviously, it's not spill proof, but yeah, I really like it, and it's ceramic, and it's really heavy duty, and I love it. And it just came in the mail yesterday, which was such a nice treat because I spent yesterday cleaning out my closet. I went through all my clothes again. I try to do it at least once a year, and I got rid of about 4 garbage bags full of stuff. So that feels good to have done. And then also, you guys may catch glimpses of it in some of my previous podcasts, but I have a basket off to my left over here. And when I get an acquisition or I finish a project, I just throw the bag or the acquisition in that basket. And it had gotten so bad to the point where it was mounded so high. I have a couch right here and it was higher than the couch. So I was like, I need to go through this. So I went through that yesterday. I was off work yesterday. We have a holiday weekend, so I decided to take an extra day off of work. And so I went through that. We had Kentucky Fiber Fest this past weekend, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And yesterday I also put up all the inventory. I put it all back up on the grid walls, organized it, took inventory, and did a shop update. So yesterday I had a really busy day, but it was good. It was very productive. And I'm hoping for another productive day today. However, my productivity is surrounding actually crafting and grocery shopping, which I already technically have done my grocery shopping. I got up this morning and ordered a click list. Jason and I had chicken and waffles for breakfast, which was delicious. We made it here. And then that's kind of a lie. We went out last night and Jason had some leftover chicken from dinner, and we had some Eggo waffles that we put in the toaster. So that's our version of chicken and waffles, but it was good. It was delicious. And it was quick and little cleanup. But anyway, so we ate that. I ordered my groceries. I spent some time prepping for the podcast. And while I was prepping, I was watching the Knit Along podcast, which is Ashley and Christy. Ashley from Nomadic Yarns. This is an entire shelf of her yarn. And Christy She Works at Yarn Store Christy. I don't know. Anyway, so I was catching up on their latest episode while I was getting ready for the podcast. So this is welcome to any returning viewers. I'm so glad you decided to come back and join me. Hello to any new viewers. This is kind of what you get with me. I am all over the place. I do have ADHD or ADD. ADHD, I'm not sure. one of those like diagnosed. So mine's more towards like the OCD stuff. So, but anyway, so I typically my mind is all over the place. I have a lot of squirrel moments. So welcome to the chaos. I am gonna jump right in, and actually, since I've already gotten to chit chat a little bit and I've showed an acquisition, I will just show my other acquisition, which was another gift. And my beautiful friend Connie drove all the way. Okay, so she lives up north, but she was talking about the Kentucky Fiber Fest and her family wanted to go. And so she flew down to Florida and then drove up to Ohio to come so she could bring her parents. And it was really super cool. But look what she made me. This is literally the cutest thing. Her name is Jelly Bean. Bean for short. And she crocheted this for me, and I think what she said is you can hang this up next to like your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink, and when you wash your hands you can kind of use this. You just hang it and then you just kind of rub your hands on the bottom and it dries your hands for you. So it's super cool and it's beautiful. It's obviously my colors. And I actually decided that she's going to be my mascot in my shows. So she was hanging up above one of our display tables. It's not my yarn, but that is perfectly fine. But I did have it hanging up above one of my display tables as kind of like a good luck charm. And I've kind of decided that she's going to come with me to all my festivals from now on. So anyway, welcome, Jelly Bean, to the Honeybee Knits family. We are glad to have you here. I'm so silly. So with that, we will jump right into finished objects. And my first finished object, which one did I finish first? I actually finished this one first. It is the Everyday Slouchy Beanie by Tristan Molina of Dragon Horde Yarn and Dragon Horde Designs. And I did not block this. I don't typically block my hats, but this was knit with my Paint It Black tonal, which is just this really lovely black gray tonal. And I actually used my new 4-ply cashmere base and my mohair base to knit this hat. And I will go ahead and put it on and mess up my hair first thing in the podcast. Why not? I am not good with hats. But I did want to show you, I really love this. I don't think I'm going to add a pom-pom to this one. I'm normally a pom-pom girl, but this one, I think the slouch gives it enough. And originally, like, I don't know. Originally, I was just knitting this as a sample, but I'm actually really liking this a lot on me. I'm not a hat person, but I'm loving this double brim. I did knit the medium size and it is quite tight. I don't really have that big of a head, but it's quite tight, but I think it's because it's that double brim. And I really like how tight it is because it's going to stay on my head and I don't have to worry about it like falling off. And it's kind of cute. I like it a lot. So this is going to be one of my samples that travels with me when I go to shows. And I finished it on last Sunday at the show. So this is kind of like what I worked on all weekend. I think I casted this on in Maryland. I had like a provisional cast on, so I had some help with that. And I just kind of worked on it the last couple weeks, but I didn't get very far. And when I was at Kentucky, I had just finished the brim. The brim did take me a while because I think it's on like 1.25 millimeter needles. And then you switch to size 4s, and then once you switch to size 4s, it's like, you know, goodbye Charlie, because it's just done by that point. Like, it's just knit up super quick. So I really love this hat. I want to show my dad this hat, and I've already knit my dad the, what is it called? The sockhead hat. And but I knit it less slouchy because my dad likes fitted beanies, but I want to show him the brim on this versus that brim and see which one he likes better, because my dad works for UPS, and he has asked that I make him a couple of brown hats for next winter. And I really want to make sure that I'm going to knit something that he wears the one I made him all the time. But I know that there's a few modifications that he had asked for. So I'm going to dye up like as close to the UPS brown color as I can and make him a few hats for next winter, because he does wear them all winter long. He's a truck driver, so he has to be out in the elements a lot. And so that is the plan. I'm going to show him this brim, see if he likes it. And if he does, I'm going to modify this pattern to make it less slouchy and more beanie-like. And this will probably be the pattern I use. If not, if he likes the other brim better, which I think is just a ribbed brim, but it's like a thick ribbed brim, like a long ribbed brim. If he likes the other one better, I'll make the other one. But either way, maybe he wants one of each. I don't know. But that is the plan coming up for Small Project Friday in a few weeks. But I have a new Small Project Friday cast on. I cast it on yesterday, but I'll show that in whips. And I'm like, just realized I'm 11 minutes in and I've already talked so much. It's just going to be one of those episodes. And it's probably only going to be about a half hour long because I really don't have a whole lot to talk about. I say that and then it'll end up being 2 hours. Anyway, back to finished objects. I finished my Desert Vista Dye Works socks for May, and I need to get pictures and get them up in Ravelry. And you'll notice they are much shorter than what I normally knit. So the requirements are that you knit 6 inches. I don't know if this is 6 inches. I'll have to remeasure. I might have to make these a little bit longer, but the requirement is that you knit these 6 inches for, I believe it's 4 or 6 inches. I have to go look. I cannot remember. I'm so horrible. And I did the bare minimum because I've really been liking my shorty socks lately. And not only are they really comfortable, like they stay on my feet better, I am more likely to wear them, but I still have about 50% of the skein left over, and I've made a deal with one of my friends, Laura from Crocheting Hoovian, that because she has a lot of self-striping yarn too, and we have a lot of colorways that we each like, and instead of buying, you know, the same colorway and having half a skein left over anyway, we'll just knit shorty socks and then trade. And not only will the socks be knit faster, but we'll have more variety, because I originally was going to knit 2 pair of socks from all of my balls of yarn because I didn't want it to go to waste. But now I get 2 different color pairs of socks for essentially one skein of yarn. So that's kind of fun. I will say that I'm not sure what happened. I don't know if it was my gauge changed or if, I'm trying to look here. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I'm trying to line these up. Let's see. There we go. So something happened at the end. So see where this has like this large pink section? This one doesn't have very much of a pink section at all. And it looks like it got off starting right about here. And then there's like, I don't know what happened. I think maybe I knit one shorter, but I don't know. They both fit perfectly. And I knit 60 rows. So maybe I miscounted and just knitted a few rows too short, but I'm not sure what happened. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. They're both cute and I like them and I will wear them. And by the way, this is Desert Vista Dye Works in her ZM base, which is her Zen base. It's her sparkle base and her silver Selena sparkle, because now she has gold sparkle too. And it is in the unicorn frappuccino colorway. Super cute. So those are done and ready to be photographed for Ravelry. I'm going to jump into spinning real quick. My next finished object is this braid from Classy Squid Fiber Company that I got in Rhinebeck, Needles Up that I spun up. And it was definitely a silk blend. I'm not sure what the blend was because it didn't say on the tag, and I can't remember from when I bought it. I did not enjoy spinning this whatsoever. It didn't know what it wanted to do. I couldn't get it consistent, and it turned out, you can kind of see it. I haven't washed it yet, so it should bloom a little bit. It doesn't feel silky at all. It feels very dense and almost like a linen. if that makes sense. You know how linen is kind of like really drapey and thick? Like this is a single and it's very thick, and I did not ply this up just because I was kind of done with it, A, and B, there was not a whole lot of yardage here. So I just kind of left it, and I think this would, I honestly don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be silk, and I'm saying we should make dishcloths. It just doesn't feel very soft at all. It's just very plasticky feeling, which I'm not sure why. I don't know why it feels the way it feels. I don't know. Maybe it's just the silk I don't enjoy spinning. Maybe there's too much silk in it and I didn't enjoy spinning that. I don't know. But it's going to get a bath today. Hopefully it gets fixed a little bit. I really wasn't happy with that spin at all. So I don't think I'm going to be spinning. I'll spin if I have any silk back here. In fact, I think my Tits Out collective is silk, but I think it might be a different type of silk. But I'll spin what I have, but I'm not buying anything else that's like mostly silk again, because that was not fun to spin. So since I didn't apply that, I got to start a new spin this past week, and I chose to spin up some roll bags from the Woolly Witch, and her roll bags are amazing. She has fantastic fiber prep. They come in 4 or 5 packs, which are basically 1 ounce packs, and I had 5 of them. So I think I'm going to get a lot of yardage out of this. So this is spun fairly thin. So I'm hoping this is finally my fingering weight. I'm hoping, because I've had so many skeins where it's like half and half. And so it ends up becoming a sport weight, and I really want some fingering weight hand spun yarn, and I don't know why, but I think I've gotten close on a few. I think I might have a few, but yeah, this is just super soft, and I just enjoy it. Just spun itself. It just pulled itself onto the bobbin, and I think I don't know. Did you guys see this as a single last week? I think you may have, because I know that I didn't apply that. And I think it took me 2 weeks to spin this. So I'm thinking you guys didn't. Sorry, my lighting is kind of changing a little bit because we're in natural lighting today. I don't have my overhead lights on, but sorry if it gets too dark. But yeah, so I'm just really happy with it. And it's just a really beautiful jewel toned colors. And there's some Selena in there. And it was just so much fun to spin up. And I have 2 more colorways from her. You can actually see them right here in bags. There's the pink and white one right here. And then there's another purple one underneath that. That's like this, except for it's more purple than blue. I really should have turned my lights on before I started podcasting. Let me go turn those on and see if it helps. So anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed spinning this, and my next spin is actually going to be the acquisition that I showed from Maryland last week, or last podcast. The pink, gray, white, gray, black, pink gradient that I'm going to do. Me and my friend Agatha, who is a Magpie Knits on Instagram, and she also has the Magpie Knits Etsy shop where she sells yarn in bags. I showed her yarn last week. You guys should definitely go check it out. But we both purchased from the same vendor in Maryland, Fiber, and so that's gonna be our next spin. She just finished a braid this week, and so we're both gonna apply next week, and then the following week we're going to start spinning our Maryland spin, which I'm really excited about, which is actually right there. So that is it for spinning. I have 3 whips and a planned project to talk about. So let me jump into those. My first whip that I will show is this one, which I casted on last night. This is the Sunrise Sunburn Sunset Cowl by Laura from Crocheting Hoovian Designs. And I casted this on last night, and I got about 30 rows in, and I'm using, well, let me show you the yarn real quick. This is so pretty. So I'm using, if you'll recall, last summer I did a kit with Laura from Knit for Brains and Alicia, and we had a bag, yarn, and stitch marker kit, and it was called Rainbow Connection. And here's the yarn. I kept a skein on Sparkle for myself because why not? And I was considering bringing it back this summer, and I kind of wanted to knit my skein up to see, you know, how it knits up, and if I do like it, to bring it back enough to have a sample. And so I cast on this cow, which was my intention for like over almost a year, ever since this cow came out last summer. And it is the perfect yarn for this pattern. So I love it so much. I just finished the first lace section. I think there's three or four lace sections. And it's just such a fun, easy potato chippy knit. I would highly recommend it for a beginner, or even an intermediate beginner or advanced beginner. Like, if you enjoy some, not necessarily mindless knitting, because it does keep your interest, it's really fun, because you know how like with self-striping yarn, it's so easy to knit up socks because you're constantly looking for that next stripe, and so it just flies off your needles. It just feels like it just goes so quick. It's the same with this. So it's broken up into different sections, and it is a paid for pattern, so I'm not going to give it away, but you're constantly looking for, okay, I want to finish these 5 rows, and then it changes up and you're like, okay, 5 more rows. And like, so it's like, okay, I'm just going to do 5 more. And I think we were up until like 3 o'clock in the morning last night because I just wanted to keep working on this. But yeah, it's so beautiful. I love the way the yarn is working up in it. It's turning out perfectly, and I'm loving this colorway too. So this colorway will be making a comeback in a few weeks, actually. I'm hoping to do, so Jason and I have been doing some like design planning, not like knitwear design, but like yarn design planning. Sorry, I dropped a few stitches and I'm gonna try to fix it here. And we've kind of decided that, sorry, see, it's so fun, like I just want to knit on it, so I'm going to do a little bit of knitting while I talk. But we have some fun colorway ideas planned. I have some bright, vibrancy, variegated colorways that I would like to dye up. Jason has some more subtle, manly ones that he wants to dye up. So we decided I'm going to do an entire bulk order in Queen Bee base, and we're gonna just 3 at a time dye up a bunch of different types of colorways for variegated yarn, and then we are going to go through that and we're going to pick our favorites, and then we're going to dye those up on some other bases. So that is our plan to get ready for September, which is wool gathering. And we've also decided that in September we're going to be dyeing up some fiber for some spinners and felters, because that is a good portion of the population that comes to wool gathering are spinners and felters. And I would say a good 40-50% of the booths there are fiber related, outside of yarn, or they have some sort of felting fiber, spinning fiber, weaving fiber in their booth. So that is the plan. The plan is to dye up a ton of variegateds, dye up some tonals and semi-solids to match, and then some fiber. So we are planning on bringing essentially double what we brought to Kentucky to wool gathering. So, and not only are we doing this because wool gathering is a bigger show than Kentucky, and it's also closer, so it's easier for us to transport more, but also in November I have Vogue Knitting Live, and so and also I'm looking at vending at a fiber festival. I can't remember the name of it right now, but in October in Southern Indiana. So between all of those 3 shows within 3 months, we're hoping to just dye up a ton of stuff this summer to have it ready to go. Of course, everything will be put into the shop, and we'll just take with us what we don't sell. So if there's something that you like, make sure that you snag it in the shop, because some of these colorways may not be dyed again after festival season. But in addition to that, I'm going to have some new kits and things like that that may not be released until after wool gathering. But as always, when I get back, I will put them in the shop so they can be available to everybody. Right now I have, and I know I went on this tangent mostly because I just wanted to knit, right? And I do have 2 more whips, so please stick around. I'll finish this real quick. I do have some kits in the shop for the rainbow mini sets that I showed on the last podcast. The Life Changes shawl was knit up in that set. And I do have it blocked. I don't have it with me to show. We're actually going to go this weekend and get some finished object photos so I can put them up on Instagram and Etsy. And I have some of those kits left, and I also have some I have 2 birds of a feathers kits left. So if you like the birds of a feather shawl that I showed in my last podcast, make sure that you go out to the shop because I only have 2 of those kits left for now. If there's a need, I can always, if there's a big enough interest, I can always dye up some more, but that is it for now. So, a little bit of new cast on mixed with shop news, I guess, is what I'm going for today. But anyway, so I have just been knitting on this, and I just really enjoyed this. And it's kind of a shame that I don't get to, with my schedule. I love my schedule because I get so much done, and it just really makes sure that my time is really balanced between all of my goals. So I'm meeting a lot of goals this year. But I'm like the 3 whips that I have here to show, I am so in love with that they are all I want to work on, but I just want to work on all of them. So it's hard because I'm like, oh, I just want to keep working on this today because I had so much fun knitting on it yesterday, but it's Sock Saturday and I finished a pair of socks last week. So I am going to be casting on a new pair today, which before I get into the last 2 whips, I'm all over the place. I might as well just tell you about my planned projects. So my planned cast on today is a pair of socks, for Jason's friend Adam in the Mustache Yarns Dark Side of the Moon colorway, which you guys have seen before. I knit shorty socks for both myself and Jason a few weeks ago, and now it's time for me to knit a pair for his friend who's very knit worthy. If you'll remember, if you've been with me for a while, I knit a Doctor Who scarf last fall, I believe. For maybe it was 2 falls ago. It's been a while. For Jason's friend, and he loved it, and he's very knit worthy. So Jason wanted me to knit him a pair of socks out of this colorway as well. So I'm gonna be casting those on today, and he has bigger feet than Jason, so they're gonna take a while. Plus, it's kind of hard knitting socks for somebody you don't know because you don't really know what size to make. So I think I'm just going to make, he likes long socks. So I'm going to do 64 stitches. I'm going to do 20 row cuff. Probably instead of doing, so normally I do a 60 row leg. I think I'm going to do an 80 row leg. And then his foot, which is rather large. So, probably, yeah. So maybe I'll just stick with 60. I don't know, because I don't know if I'm going to have enough yarn. So maybe I will stick with the 60. I could do 80. Yeah, because I did 60 on mine, but he has a bigger foot. I don't know what I'm doing yet. We'll see. So I really should have put a stitch marker in this to really show you how much progress I made on this. But this, my friends, and I'm all over the place not following the weeks right now, the days of the week for my schedule, but this is my Whip It Thursday project that I pulled out of the jar last week, and I have been loving knitting on this. I've gotten so much done on it. So here it is, and let me show you where I was last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this is from right here to here. This is how much I have knit on it this past 2 weeks. So I have done 1, 2, 3, 4 repeats of the triangles, or the diamonds. So I am 1 repeat over halfway, well, halfway with just this section right here, and then I have another one of these sections I have to knit. So I am officially halfway done with this shawl, or with this, it's actually supposed to be a poncho, and I was debating on whether or not to leave it as a wrap because it is just so pretty. Like, it's so pretty, and it would make a gorgeous wrap. But I did land on making it a poncho because I was looking at the pattern, and the only thing that really makes it a poncho is the fact that you sew the two ends together when you're done in a like a triangle kind of way. Like, you sew this, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but it'll basically make it so this becomes a triangle. And I love that idea because sometimes it's hard to keep big wraps on me because I have wide shoulders. So if I make it into that poncho, then it'll just automatically be attached to me and I don't have to worry about it. So this is coming along very nicely. I'm hoping to get a lot of progress on this done in the next 2 weeks. Because like I'm already, like, as much as I'm enjoying knitting on this, it's just making me more motivated to get things out of my whip jar. And this is so much easier to knit than that beaded lace shawl was. That beaded lace shawl, like, I am so glad that it's done, like, so relieved that it's done. And I didn't really enjoy the process of knitting it. That's not true. I didn't enjoy I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I don't really wear the finished object, so it wasn't for me. And I don't, you know, the beaded lace is just, it feels so overwhelming to do. But I'm so proud of it afterwards. Just the having it done and looking at how beautiful it is and saying I made that is worth everything I went through to finish it. So, but that being said, I'm so glad that it's done and I have an easy thing to work on. I was kind of hoping for one of my smaller projects, guys. That whip jar has like 5 one skein projects in there. And for some reason, I never draw those out. But eventually I'll get to the point where that's all I have left, right? So anyway, I'm really, really happy with how this is turning out. This is knit out of Kabasi by Haiku. It's cotton bamboo silk blend. And it is really soft. It's really soft and drapey. It is a little rough. It's not rough to work on with my hands, but it dries out my hands. So I do use a lot of tough woolens when I'm working on this. I've been using the pink peppermint scent, which I forgot I had because it was in this project bag with this project. So apparently I knew before it was bothering me. But anyway, so I am really enjoying working on that on Thursdays, and it's actually the project I was taking to work with me this week when I was doing, because I am in a few certification programs, so each week I have to do a few video trainings, and I spend anywhere from an hour to 5 hours a week in those trainings. So I take this with me and knit on those while I'm watching the videos. But since I want to get these socks done, that'll probably be my at-work project this week. And then after that, it'll probably be that cowl, because this is a really easy project to work on while I'm there. And moving on. So, my last work in progress is my Spellman sweater, and I have goals for this week. So here it is, and I don't know if it looks much different to you guys, but this is where I was last time you saw it. Here it is now. So I am only working on this 1 day a week, so it is definitely slow going progress, but it's getting there. And just by putting a few inches in every week, you know, I was able to get this body knit in the last couple weeks. So I have 1/2 inch left in the body, and then I'm going to do the ribbing, and I'm actually going to do 3 inches of ribbing instead of 2 inches of ribbing because I like longer rib at the bottom. So I am I am ending the body an inch sooner than what the pattern calls for the long version, because I want that 3 inches of ribbing. And then I will be on Sleeve Island, and I already have my next sweater plan cast on. I'm going to be knitting the Saturday morning sweater by Tristan of Dragon Horde Yarn, who is also the designer of this pattern. And well, first of all, this yarn, in case you haven't seen my last podcast, this is Smashed Mulberry in my cashmere and mohair base. And see the fluffy mohair on it a little bit. fluffy, fluffy. It's so soft. But I am just loving this. I can't wait for it to be off the needles, mainly because not only do I want to wear it, but it's way too hot right now to wear. I'll have to turn my air down to like 50 degrees and put it on. But my Saturday morning sweater is Aran weight. And so that is going to be my next cast on, because working on a sweater one day a week and it being finger weight feels like it takes forever. So I'm really looking forward to that chunky knit, because I think it's just going to fly off the needles. And then after that, I'm going to finally do my Tecumseh out of DK. So I figure one fingering weight sweater, an Aran weight sweater, and then a DK weight sweater. And then I'll be ready for another fingering weight sweater after that. So, I want to knit so many sweaters, and there's just not enough time, but I'm hoping but I made a lot of progress on my whips this year. My languishing ones, like the poncho I'm working on right now, I've had on the needles for 3 years. So, eventually there's going to come a point in time, and I can already look at my whip jar and see that there's less, it used to be overflowing filled, and now it's like halfway filled. So I already know I'm making progress, and I know eventually that whip jar is going to be empty, because I'm not casting on any new projects unless I plan to finish them that month. So for example, I've only been casting on small projects like cows and socks. So any other cast-ons are to either replace a project I just finished, like a sweater, or they are small projects, and therefore I'm not incurring more long-term whips. So that's why I'm so thankful for Whip It Thursday and getting these projects off the needles. And it's probably going to take me another year to get through that jar, but I am 100% okay with that, because at the end of that year, that means I'm going to have an entire day of the week back to myself to devote to something else. And I'm really hoping to have, like, I don't know, like 2 days a week where I can work on my sweaters, or you know, I talked about, I have a shelf on my behind me that has, it's a cubby filled with yarn that has been caked up, and I have no idea what my plans were for that yarn, because it's been caked up for so long. And I have, it's like a random assortment of yarn, and I have plans to go through that and just find projects for whatever is in there and knit them up. So, you know, I thought I would have like random shelf Thursday or something like that, just to help me work through some of the random stuff, because I'm really trying to work my way towards having a plan for everything. And so I'm getting better about living purposefully. It's like something that's been one of my big focuses this past year. So last year it was just getting healthy mentally, so that, you know, I could get out of this slump I was in for a few years, and I started going to therapy and started paying attention more to my body. And while I still have so much work to do with my binge eating and my, you know, getting my body healthy into a good place, the past 6 months or so, you know, the first, I would say about 8-9 months was about the physical, along with the mental, but I was really focusing on the physical. I was walking a lot, I was eating healthy, really trying to lose weight, actively trying to lose weight. And then it got to a point where I realized that my weight problems are mental. The reason why I am the way I am is because of the mental place that I'm in. So I've spent a good portion of the last 6 months mentally trying, well, first of all, trying to really focus on my mental health, but also living with purpose, because I want to live a purposeful life. I have goals that I want to accomplish, and I want to work towards those goals every day. So with that, all different aspects of my life have become more organized and less stressful, and I've had less anxiety about them. So for example, my knitting. So I used yarn buying as a form of therapy for me previously, and I was spending a lot of money on stuff that I may not even be able to knit everything that I have behind me in my lifetime. But it was overwhelming. And so in the back of my mind, you know, well, first of all, making that purchase made me feel better in the moment. But then as the piles started to grow, it started to become very overwhelming. And then in the back of my mind, I had this anxiety about like anytime I made a purchase, I couldn't enjoy it because I was like, I shouldn't be buying this because I have all this. So that's where some of the destashing came from. That's where some of the scheduling came from. And I sat down and I just really talked to myself and I said, what are your goals when it comes to crafting? Because this is something you enjoy. And I didn't want to become so overwhelmed that I just quit. And so that's why I made this plan. And it is a 5-year plan for knitting. It's not a short-term plan. So I am okay that my whips are going to take me a year to finish, or that my stash isn't going to be knit for years to come. At least I have a plan of how I'm going to tackle it and how I am going to actually do things I'm saying I'm going to do. It may take me a long time to get there, but I know that if I stick to the plan, that it's going to get done eventually. And so it doesn't stress me out knowing I have 10 sweaters over here I want to knit, because I have a plan to knit those 10 sweaters. It may take me years to knit those 10 sweaters, but they will be knit. And when I make a purchase, I am more mindful of what I am purchasing, and I'm purchasing less, and I am using things quicker. So I mean, if we talk about Rhinebeck, I'm already halfway through my Rhinebeck purchases, which is crazy because I have stuff from Kentucky from 2 years ago that I haven't touched. So I'm getting somewhere. That's the whole point of this rant. And with reading, that's another example. I have a ton of books and I can't get rid of them because I haven't read them. Like, I don't want to get rid of them. I want to read them. I purchased them. I want to read them. And to get through those, I read 50 pages a day, 5 days a week. And it takes me anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, maybe, if it's, a harder book to read. But I do it, and I finish on average 4 books a week, and I'm making a noticeable dent in my bookshelves, which is calming for me. And I'm also buying more purposefully. I only buy books that I know that I'm going to read in that month. So, and a lot of those books that I'm buying right now are like third part to a trilogy that I've already finished the first 2 books. So, and a lot of people ask me why I don't go to the library. First of all, I've had like 6 library cards revoked because I can never remember to return them, which is horrible. It's a community public service, and I need to be more responsible and return the books. But anyway, so Jason won't let me get a library card anymore because I never return my books. And also, I donate the books when I'm finished with them. So while I may only get to read them once, and I spend anywhere from $8 to $15 on a book that I'm only going to read once, I'm okay with that because afterwards I donate it and I know that it's going to be used and read. I actually used to donate to the Dollar Book Swap. We have a Dollar Book Swap downtown where everything is $1, or you can trade a book for a book. And it's kind of like a lending library, except for there's no expiration date, and if you like the book, you can keep it. It's yours when you walk out the door. So I used to donate to that, but I've actually started giving to my brother-in-law's girlfriend is a high school English teacher, and I've started giving her a lot of my books because it's going to a school, and I've gotten really good feedback about that. I read a lot of young adults, and she was telling me about how her students are really loving the books that I'm bringing in, and it's gotten a lot of her students who weren't interested in reading before interested. So I'm just really excited about that, and it makes me feel good. And if, I'm okay spending that $8 to $15 on a book if somebody else is going to get enjoyment out of it as well. So anyway, it's kind of my rant. And how I plan to work through some of my clutter, and just organize my life overall. Didn't plan on going into that. So let's talk about Kentucky real quick, because we're in 45 minutes in. So Kentucky was good. It was definitely a really good learning experience for me. We didn't end up making a profit. We did break even, which is good. And I came home with a lot of inventory, which is all potential for profit, which obviously that profit just goes back into the shop anyway. So, But it was a good learning experience. Friday morning we drove down, and we were actually supposed to be there at 10 a.m. and we didn't get down there until around noon because we got delayed with taking Izzy to Jason's brother's and traffic, and Jason wanted to stop to eat breakfast, which was all fine. So we got down there at noon, and I realized I forgot my tent walls. So, because we had to put walls up at nighttime to keep all the elements away from the product, and I forgot them at home, and it was a 2-hour drive. So I hopped in the car and I drove back to Dayton, and I picked up the walls from my garage, and I drove back to Lexington through rush hour. So it was 2 hours down, and then we unloaded the van, and I left Jason there, and my stepdad happened to be in Lexington this weekend as well, so my stepdad and my mom. So my stepdad helped Jason set up while I got back in the van. My mom was actually taking a class at the festival. So they started setting up. I got back in the van, drove 2 hours north, grabbed the grid walls, or the walls for the tent, and drove 3 hours back south because it was supposed to be 2 hours, but it was rush hour traffic on Friday. So by the time I was going back, it was about 5 p.m. and there was a ton of traffic going through Cincinnati, and it was horrible. I was in traffic for over an hour. In a traffic jam for over an hour. So ended up doing about 7 hours of driving Friday when it was only supposed to be 2 hours. So that was not fun. But I got down there, finished setting up. We went to a nice dinner. We checked into the hotel, went to a nice dinner, came back and swam, and then I just kind of hung out and knit in the hotel room while Jason slept because he was exhausted. And then Saturday was the festival, and we did really well on Saturday, and I got to talk and meet so many great, fantastic people. My friend Connie came down, Carrie Ann came down, my friend Carrie Ann from the virtual knit nights. She's actually local to me in Dayton, so she came down. That was kind of cool. There were so many people that I got to say hi to that watched the podcast that I don't want to offend anybody, but it was just such a big weekend, and I met so many amazing people. And I just want to thank you to anybody that stopped by to say hi or just chat with me. Even if you didn't make a purchase, it was just really good getting to know you and getting to talk to you in person. I got to there's a podcast called Fuck This Knit, and they I got to sit and chat with them for a little bit. And I've never watched their podcast, but I plan to add it to my queue. It's a trio. And I'm actually going to be sending them a giveaway from the shop. So it was cool to get to talk to them a little bit. I got to talk to Leading Men Fiber Arts a little bit. Jason got to talk to Poly Studios because he walked around a little bit. So he had a conversation with the guy from Poly Studios. Who else? Rebel Yarn in Lexington. It's a yarn shop in Lexington. I got to talk to the owners of there, and I'm looking into contacting them to do a trunk show with them in the fall, so that's kind of fun. And then what else? There's so many people. Sarah, she is crap. Not the Fiber Story. Oh, don't kill me. Okay, so I know that somebody watching this knows the name of her shop. Can you please comment below? Because it's a new to me shop, but I did take a look. I didn't have a chance to go to her booth because by the time I was going to go to her booth, the wind picked up and we had to start tearing down. So, but she has gorgeous yarn, and I really want you guys to check her out. So Kim, if you can comment below and let me know what the name of her shop is, because I know Kim watches, so everybody can go check her out. She was there and she was super nice to talk to. Knitterly Things was there, and she was super nice to talk to. I think this was her first show that she was vending at, and I bought yarn from her on Etsy before. So there is a common theme with some of the vendors there, and I mean, I kind of understand, because for some people, this is how they make their bread and butter. Like, this is how they pay their bills, how they feed their family. So this is make it or break it for them. And it was a stressful show because there were not a lot of people there. When I went a couple years ago, it was packed, and I guess the last year or so, it's been kind of dead. So there were not a whole lot of people there, so I think that made it a little bit more stressful on the vendors. For us, that's just my side gig, so I'm not gonna go delinquent in my mortgage or not gonna be able to eat because I didn't make money at the festival. But for some of the people vending, I think that was the case, so it was a high stress situation. But I will say that I had gone with the intention to also go shopping, and as you'll notice, I do not have any acquisitions because I had quite a few vendors that were very, very rude to me, and because I was a vendor. There were some vendors who kind of, they felt that if they even looked your way that they would lose a sale. Like, they couldn't even look at your tent because they would lose a sale. There were some vendors that would come in and literally had a lady come into my booth who was also a vendor. And she's like, so you're the one with the pink tent. That was a bad choice. And she started to critique pretty much everything in my booth. I did not ask for her opinion at all. She just came in and started doing that. She was making Jason very upset. She was making me very upset, to the point where I looked at Jason and said, I'm going to go to the bathroom and wash my hands, and I walked away. She did, as I was walking away, before I walked away, she was talking about wool gathering and how hard it is to become a vendor at wool gathering, but that she was going to be there, basically bragging she was going to be there, and she even said something to the effect of, as I was walking away, she said something to the effect of, it's too bad you're not going to be able to get in there this year because it's too late, or something like that. Not knowing that we're from the area, not knowing that I already applied and got accepted to wool gathering. I've already paid my booth fees. Like, I'm going to wool gathering. So I walked away, but Jason said that it did come up that we were also going to be vending at wool gathering after I left. So he said after that, her face just kind of fell and she left. So that one experience, and then the way some of the other vendors had acted during the festival, just kind of put me off, and made me more aware of who I'm purchasing from. And I was honestly so disgusted that I didn't feel like buying anything. So I didn't. But that being said, there were a lot of really nice vendors there as well. So I had, and all the ones I mentioned before, I had really good conversations with them about just vending. And, I just said, this is my first one. Like, and either it was their first one too, and we had like a shared experience and we just kind of talked about it. Or there was, like Leading Men Fiber Arts has done this show circuit quite a few times. And he said, yeah, this isn't really a huge show, but, it's not that far. And if you already have the inventory, the booth fees aren't that expensive, and it's an inexpensive place to vend. So it's kind of worth it to just go and hang out for the weekend. So that's kind of what we took it as, and I think it was a very successful weekend. We've got 2, possibly 3 more coming up in the fall. I'm working on a few trunk shows. I'm hoping for a few wholesale orders this summer. So that is pretty much just all the shop news for this year. I think, but yeah, other than that, I think that's it. It's just been really busy coming back and unloading and taking the van back to my dad and putting inventory up and doing the shop update, which is live, which I'll throw some photos up at the end of this. And so future plans. So casting on socks today, editing the podcast, picking up my groceries at 4. We've got to buy a new mailbox. Our mailbox somehow got damaged, so now we need a new one. We need to mulch, but I don't know that we're going to do that this weekend because of the weather. Today it's just miserably hot, and tomorrow it's supposed to rain, so I'm not sure when we're going to mulch, but we're going to. That's pretty much just the plans. I am off on Monday, so I have today, tomorrow, and Monday to just kind of like hang out, chill, relax, knit. You'll notice I did not have any of my scrappy projects with me today. I have done very little to no scrappy project knitting this month. Between Maryland and Kentucky, I haven't had the time. So on the last podcast, I was getting caught up from the scrappy knitting I missed from Maryland. This week, I'm going to be getting caught up from the scrappy knitting I missed from Kentucky. So I have not had a chance to work on my Winter Wonderland and Minis wrap. And I probably won't get to it tomorrow because I have to put in 4 squares on my Cozy Memories blanket and 4 squares on my stained glass blanket tomorrow. So I need to do a total of 8 squares. So that is what I'm going to be working on getting caught up on. And once I'm caught up on that, I'll start picking up my Winter Wonderland and Minis wrap again, because I do 2 squares a week on my Cozy Memories blanket and 1 square a week on my stained glass blanket. So I haven't worked on my stained glass blanket since before Maryland. So that is the plan for tomorrow. And then Monday, my goal for the sweater is to finish the 1/2 inch in the body and the 3 inches of ribbing, and cast off the body, or at least get that done and have it ready to be casted off so I can finally try it on, because I have not tried it on yet, because I like to do that to myself. Anyway, I hope you guys had a wonderful week, and we'll have a wonderful couple of weeks coming up. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I've been up to. Check me out on Etsy. I just put a ton of stuff in the shop that's left over from Kentucky, including those kits I talked about. And also, as always, follow me on go check out the Revelry Honeybee Knits podcast group. I am Melissa1308 on Revelry. Also, this weekend, I did forget to mention, is the weekend knit-a-thon for May. So there is a thread open in Revelry, and if you use the hashtag HBK knit-a-thon, hashtag HBK May Knit-a-thon 2019 on Instagram, you'll be entered for prizes. I know that I was supposed to draw podcast winners today for some sort of knit-along. I'm not sure which one, because I don't remember, but I promised I would get to those next week. The reason why I'm not doing it today is I have, I think, 10 Ravelry inbox messages of people that I need to send packages to, send patterns to, and my plan is to get caught up on that tomorrow or Monday, one of those 2 days, and probably Monday, because that's when the post office is open. And then once I do that, I'll be ready to draw the next round of winners. So I did get a little bit behind on that. I do apologize, but I promise I didn't forget about you. The threads are still open, so if you want to participate, go participate, and we will get all of that drawn on the next podcast. But hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend and a wonderful holiday weekend, and enjoy your upcoming couple of weeks. I'll see you soon. Bye.